Hi, we're here to look at the full moon, which is eclipsed on March the 13th or March the 14th, depending which side of the Atlantic that you live on. And the moon will actually be in Virgo at the time with the sun in Pisces. So, capitulation, subjugation, guilt, these are all the type of things that will come up with this moon. But let's look at some of the issues in more detail. So, what we need to understand is we're looking at the Virgo-Pisces axis, right? So this is Virgo on one side, Pisces on the other. What this means is this axis is going to discover and look at certain themes which are constant between the Virgo and the Pisces zodiac signs. But they take two different sides of it, like two different sides of a coin. So some of the themes run through both of them, such as health, for instance. So with Virgo, you will always get attention to health. You also get that attention to health in Pisces, but it tends to be more mental health or health on a larger scale. So hospital situations, sanctuaries, things like this. Another theme between these two is that of criticism and guilt. Now, with Virgo, we get the criticism and we get a degree of guilt. With Pisces, we get kind of a lethargy from being criticized, but also guilt. But the guilt this time is on a wider scale. It's the guilt of humanity. It's the original sin type of guilt. It's the feeling that somehow, somewhere, you pushed the wrong button and the Big Bang happened, or suddenly this dimension burst into existence, and it's all the fault of Pisces. And Pisces takes on guilt for the whole, all the bad stuff that humanity is capable of. Another theme for this axis is cleansing. So Virgo wants to sort through things and get rid of the things that aren't needed. So it's a sort of a cleansing routine type of thing. Pisces is about cleansing in terms of dissolving. Everything must be dissoluted, go into dissolution, ready for a revival or a renewal or a rebirth. There is discrimination involved. Virgo discriminates, it labels the separate pieces. On the other hand, Pisces doesn't discriminate. It wants to dissolve everything into an undifferentiated whole, just to get it all down to the cosmic soup, if you like. Virgo worries. Everything matters with Virgo. It's an earth sign, and so therefore it worries about keeping things that are corporeal or are material in good condition. To Pisces, this doesn't matter. None of it matters, because Pisces says that everything is going to dissolve. So there are no worries really about keeping matter and the earth element pristine. For Pisces, just the water comes up the beach and washes away the sandcastles. It's about taking it down into nothingness or cosmic soup. So service is a constant with these two. Both of them serve. Virgo serves as in National Health Service, dentistry, health in general. Pisces also serves in health, but to as many people as possible, and tends to have more to do with mental health. I think things that are more difficult to grasp. So the detail gene is there in the Virgo. Pisces wants to ignore the detail gene and never wants to go into detail. So having covered all of that, we then have to look at what is it about an eclipse that erupts or interrupts or brings about issues in those themes that I've just talked about. So I'm just going to share the chart with you. I think that will be useful. Just one second. Right, so we're looking at, this is the chart of the actual eclipse, which is on the 14th of March at 6:54, so 7 o'clock in the morning in the UK, which, as I say, if you're in the USA, could be just before midnight or after midnight on the 13th, 14th. Okay, so we've got the sun here at 23 of Pisces, and we've got the moon at 23 of Pisces. They would have to be exactly opposite for an eclipse to happen. What's happening is the Earth in the middle here, you have to imagine that, is getting in between the sun and the moon. And so the sun's shining on the Earth, and the Earth's shadow is falling onto the face of the moon. Now, it doesn't actually go black. It doesn't look like a bite has been taken out of it, which is what you get with a solar eclipse. With the moon, the way it's all set up with everything, because it's much smaller, you get a deep red color. And the red is actually coming from all the sunsets around the Earth at the same time. It's such a nice thought, that isn't it? But you get this deep blood red color, and it goes fairly dark, yes, but it never disappears as the sun does. And does it affect light? Yes, it affects light in as much as the full moon's light is dimmed. Okay, now what we want to understand is, how does this impact us? So what is the invisible cosmos feeling or thinking at this time? It's the moon's light that disappears. So it is the feminine that disappears, because when we get an eclipse, we always get on one side the masculine and on the other side the feminine. So if the sun is being eclipsed, the masculine is being eclipsed. If the moon is being eclipsed, the feminine is being eclipsed. So something is eclipsed in Virgo and in the feminine. Now, if you have a Virgo sun sign, or if you have a lot of Virgo in your chart, you will feel this. Yes, you will. You'll feel a bit unnerved. Maybe sometimes people get a bit dizzy. Sleep patterns get altered. Either you sleep much more or much less. Pisces, yes, Pisces will feel it too, but Pisces is feeling depressed because there is a Sun-Saturn conjunction, and Saturn is inimical to Pisces. These two just don't get on at all. So Saturn is grinding down into Pisces and making it feel very much more guilty and responsible and dutiful. And so Pisceans are going to feel a little bit funny for that reason. Somebody opposite to Pisces. So if you have a lot of Pisces, or you've got Pisces sun sign, somebody opposite is going to be eclipsed. So somebody opposite, the significant other, it will have a momentary blackout of some description. Now, I don't mean a physical one, although sometimes people have been known to go a bit dizzy. It's a sudden interruption on an emotional level of a significant other. If it doesn't happen exactly at this time, because it's sort of an inconvenient time for most people, it tends to be on the edge of the sleep time, either before or after, it can happen a few hours later, and it can happen a few hours before. Because of the interruption to the moon's light in Virgo, stop sharing again. Because of the interruption to the moon's light in Virgo, it's like switching a light on and off in the Virgo energy. So the Virgo energy of the cosmos, the invisible thinking, feeling cosmos, has a light that is flicked on and off in the area of itself which Virgo describes. So in dealing with something tedious, in dealing with something detailed, in dealing with something where one might criticize or feel guilty, the small print, there is a hiccup. The hiccup is not for very long. It will happen, as I say, within hours. But it will be one instance, and it will cause a sudden sort of, oh my goodness, oh, look at that, what have I done? Something like that. because it's Virgo, Virgo tends to worry too much about things. So it could be, "Oh, I forgot to take my regular medication," something like that. Um, I do think we will notice it in general in sort of health somewhere. But I think we also need to think about capitulation and subjugation. There is an echo in this chart because we also have a square between Chiron and Mars, and that is going to that symbolizes something of a guilt. There's an extra guilt going on. That there is something of a loss of strength. Somebody is forced on their knees, or something is forced on its knees. Something has to capitulate or get underneath or give itself up, give its power up to something greater. That is uncomfortable, and one can't help but wonder how that impacts the world news at the moment. Just a few more words about eclipses. So, eclipse season happens within, a pair of zodiac signs once every 10 years, roundabout once every 10 years. And so we don't get too many of these in our lifetime. And so therefore it is an opportunity for those with a lot of Pisces, those with a lot of Virgo, to focus on the depth and the breadth of their own signs. So to learn something about oneself, to learn something about oneself within the context of the cosmos, within the context of this living, breathing cosmos that we live in. They can be a little disorienting. They're certainly usually quite somber affairs, but in this particular case, the sun is not eclipsed. And this is a very important fact. The sun is in its brilliance. The sun in Pisces is holding steady and fast. Yes, it's conjunct Saturn, and that is unfortunately going to cause a couple of issues in terms of feeling as if we are missing resources, as if we're not up to something, as if we're failing at something. But it's not actually the eclipse that's causing that, it's Saturn. So the sun is, apart from Saturn in its glory, okay, it's the moon, it's the feminine that is eclipsed. Now, because both ends, in one way or another, are struggling with earthiness, with practicality, with some responsibility, perhaps, and there is a sense that one is having to accept something or kowtow to something that one doesn't want to. It is quite a somber time, but it is also a time of great sensitivity, and what we need to be and to do is to be patient, and we need to be careful, and we need to have sensitivity for others. The sensitivity is being knocked out for a few minutes or a few hours. What we need to do is hold that place as observers and as conscious and unconscious partakers in this invisible cosmos. We need to send out and hold fast whilst the disruption happens. And we need to have compassion, and we need to have a sense of peace and holding steady, being supportive. In that case, we will learn something which will be wisdom for ourselves in the future. So just remember, these things we don't come across these things, the eclipse seasons in these particular two zodiac signs that often. And so it's a chance to explore and understand a little more about what Pisces and Virgo are all about. And I think that's something nice to take home, if you like. I hope that was useful and I enjoyed talking to you. And please remember to subscribe, hit the like button if you don't mind. Just a little like. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hate asking for this, but you're supposed to. All right, then. I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye bye.